Alright, so now it's day 7 and about 40 hours of the Blue Protocol, and I'm gonna be honest. I think it's about time I flush this game. I am very much not like Stoops, where I think I need to put in 400 hours, which is like about half a month's worth of playtime before judging the game. 7 days of time gating, I think, is more than generous enough to decide if I want to keep playing this game or not. Especially since I had so much more fun and more excitement playing Sword of Just Ass, which was also the same situation where it is a whalebait MTX time-gated mess. And so to me, I think Blue Protocol Star Residence is a prime example of the modern MMO problem. Now I want to say I'm not here to tell you how to spend your free time. If you enjoy this game, absolutely keep playing it. I know this game isn't doing really well in the reviews, and even in the content creator space, a lot of people are just unhappy with the game, or they just think it's boring, average, mid, and I do agree to that, but I really want to go into details on it. Because I think it is important to have these kind of conversations and not just be like, hey, game is shit. A concept I really think about is the hero feature or aspect of the game. This being something in the game that shines brighter than its peers. Something that says, this is why I play X. If I look back on the games I played before, I can easily call out what I enjoyed the game and why I played it. I know in the Loa scene especially, a lot of people don't want to hear this, but World of Warcraft really stands out as the entire journey, the entire game being part of the experience. Everything you did this game had weight to it. You wouldn't just run into a pack of mobs and come out alive. Hell, if you were a vanilla warrior, you're lucky to come out from fighting 2 mobs alive. On the flip side, if you played a hunter, well, things were a lot easier. But like what I'm getting at is that everything you did felt extremely earned, and that is a huge factor into why vanilla WoW came back, because that kind of went away from the modern World of Warcraft, and even in modern MMOs in general. People really started to miss that, and so we had the private servers, official servers, and eventually people did hardcore mods, and then eventually that became an official thing, which very much just upped the ante and risk and reward. Terra was kind of a mix. It had some of the easy mobbing content, but it also had challenging content in forms of BAMs, big ass monsters, which are basically elites or bosses in their area that had a quest tied. I also really liked that the races in this game had a lot of personality to them. What I remember most about Rift is just being able to combine 3 different classes, 3 different specs. This opened up a lot of creativity, but also made PvP very chaotic because you really didn't know what people are running. Because this was before the time where everybody would frame one, Google what's the best spec or anything like that. PSO2 is by far the best action combat experience I've had in any MMO. It is also my favorite setting. While Lost Ark had Clown, Vault, and Akan, which are my favorite raid encounters really ever. And so when I think about Blue Protocol, what stands out? The answer really is just kind of nothing. The most standout feature I can think about is the movement system, which I do quite like. But the problem is that isn't something that is a selling part of the game. It's a supplement that would make the other experiences better. But the problem is those other experiences are just overall bland. Now, the most interesting piece of content thus far, I think, is actually one of the world bosses or just daily bosses that require you to go platform to platform or split up your parties, take out mobs and fire a cannon to shoot at the large boss, and then at the end, destroy its core or just some big ball in the middle, whatever it is. I think that is probably the most unique fight I've experienced in the game. There's probably more, but it's who knows under how many other days of time gating. But beyond that, it's do your like 30 minutes or so of questing that you had for the day, do maybe another 20 minutes of your other daily content, and then from there it's taking part in the long world content grinds, which is farming like bosses or elite out in the world basically by killing on that channel and then moving on to the next channel, which realistically it's just people moving to a channel and hitting auto battle on that channel. In this game, they're called lines. I should just say that. Now, I don't really mind grindy content and just farming the same thing over and over. I play Phantasy Star, which is very much a grindy game, and also I play a lot of looter shooters, which it's the same thing. Kill the boss for loot over and over and over with really not so great drop rates generally. But generally what makes this tolerable for me is that the combat and doing it is fun. Like with Borderlands, for example, even though I thought the game was pretty mid, you can make some pretty fun builds and then do different builds on the same boss over and over and over and kind of make the fight a little bit more fun. With base BSO2, I could fight the same bosses over and over and over because I generally just enjoyed the fights and the combat. But BPSR is just really your standard tab target game. Your min-max rotation definitely does have some depth to it, but it's still just standard. It's still just something that I can get in any other MMO at this point. Besides, I guess, your magic summons, which is the unique thing about this game, but like 2 skills in your bar isn't really what sells combat, unfortunately. And overall, that's the same feel about this entire game. Nothing is really special about this game. Nothing really stands out. Lost Ark, for example, this game gets shit on so hard for being pay to win job homework trash, but there's a lot of people who still put up with the game because they just can't get that raid and class experience anywhere else. And I don't think you can just have the argument that, hey man, it gets better after a couple weeks of time gating trust, because the Sword of Justice beta had the same time gating. But what they did is every day they basically ended it on a very strong note. Think of it like a TV show that ends every episode and like a cliffhanger that makes you want to watch the next one. One day I ended off doing a dungeon that had a 2D side-scrolling section. The other one, majority of the dungeon was actually a bullet hell game. Eventually I unlocked a roguelike dungeon. In general, the game offered a lot of variance and just very different activities that things do that just kept on surprising me, that made me want to see what I'm going to lock tomorrow. But that game still has a lot of problems. It's nowhere near perfect. Meanwhile, playing Blue Protocol Star Residence, I'm like, do I even want to play tomorrow? Like, I'm basically pairing like a D grade to a C grade. But that's why I'm really not a fan of the whole like argument that, hey man, once you get past the time gating, it's a really good game. I think a game should be able to be good and capture their audience within a much shorter time period than a couple weeks of time gating. The pilot episode of a TV series is so important because people know that people aren't going to really watch past it if they don't like the pilot. And I think that's how you should feel about the first couple hours of your gameplay. Also, a little side rant here because I feel like I just got to say it. In 3 of my 7 days going through this MSQ, I have encountered progression blockers. The first was being in a stealth section where the enemies didn't move, so the quest did not move on. Once I got caught a couple times, it finally did reset and the mob started moving. The second was escorting a priest on the road, which there's supposed to be a trap that spawns, but the trap didn't spawn, so he just stood there waiting for it to spawn. For that one, I had to log out and log back in. And then the latest, which I actually did record this one, is me trying to set off fireworks that I pressed the button and nothing happened. And then I had to actually restart the game about 4 times for that one to work. Like, man, I get 10 minutes of MSQ a day and you're telling me that can't even be a smooth experience? I just had to get that out of my system because like, it shouldn't be like that, man. Now, I know a lot of people want to talk about mobile auto battle and microtransactions, but I really just want to say this. If a game is good, none of this truly matters because people will still play the game. They will eventually accept it and be indoctrinated into justifying it. I think if you're going into an MMO in modern day and expecting it not to be MTX hell, you're delusional. And unfortunately, we're getting to the point where most of these games are transitioning to mobile because that is where people who spend a lot of money are. And auto battle is genuinely part of the mobile package, which is actually kind of weird because I don't know if you can actually fully auto battle on mobile. I couldn't actually find that out. I booted it up on mobile, but I couldn't really figure that out either. So I don't know. The point I'm trying to make is if the game is good, people don't care about all the other shit. And that is kind of myself included. If this game had base PSO2 combat and also like the boss fights of it, it'd be kind of like a hold up, wait a minute, maybe this is worth it situation. Because that combat would also enhance the other parts of this game that I feel are kind of mid. Now you could say that these are the disease and like the very mid design is a symptom of that disease. That's absolutely a conversation that could be had. And it's kind of a conversation I've already had on my channel. But these don't have to be mutually exclusive things. That's why I think that you still can have a good game with really shitty things in it. But this is just a very average game, really shitty things in it. But I do want to say that auto combat is definitely going to carry this game so hard in Steam charts. Like these hunts and everything, they're designed around having auto combat. They're designed around people leaving their game open all day, just letting the auto combat run for them. So in modern day, when people basically judge a game by how many people are on Steam charts, this game is going to look really good. So yeah, to sum it up, Blue Protocol Star Resident really isn't a bad game, but the game itself just doesn't have that hero feature, that reason for me to say, yes, I have to play this game. And for me personally, I think a big factor is I'm just kind of over this design that where so much of the game is so bland and so boring that I'm watching YouTube, I'm watching Twitch, I'm watching movies, or just playing another game at the same time because you don't have to pay that much attention to this game. And I get that I am playing one of the easier classes for auto battle, and also auto battle does fall off, but still for hunts of farming like 300 mobs out in the field, I think that's really all you're ever going to need. And there is content where, you know, things will actually hurt you and there is some challenge to it. So it's not like it's just about this game being easy, but for the most part, it just doesn't really engage me. And I think that's a big thing about competitive games and also games like megabonk. You're always going to be playing what you signed up for. Because I think there is a point where you had to question why you're not just playing an idle battler game. Because a lot of modern MMOs just feel like they are trying to be an idle battler with extra steps. And these idle battle games are actually decently popular, and since people know exactly what they're getting into, they review really well. Which you can also say that MMO players are expecting too much of the games. They're expecting too much of the old style when that is just not that profitable. So now we're going towards this. Because it's not like Blue Protocol appeals to nobody. There is absolutely an audience for this game. But it's not the hardcore MMO audience, and these are the people who are mostly upset with the game. Or more so, that's kind of my understanding. And I'm gonna be honest, if I was a streamer, I wouldn't probably have as much of an issue with this. Low effort content is really good for making your channel basically just chatting something extra. And I don't want that to sound like I'm throwing shade at streamers, because I just do believe that there is a big difference between somebody playing this as basically their job versus somebody who is playing it on their free time. And honestly, in this space, that line generally gets blurred a lot, and people will try to kind of base how they play the game on how a streamer plays it. And their audience normalizes playing like this, and then they wonder why they get burned out. And I just don't like the argument to say that after a couple weeks of time gating, the game gets really fun. Like, bro, people don't even give a restaurant a second shot after the first one. So yeah, I think it's about time this game gets the flush. Maybe I'll give it another day or two, but I kind of doubt it. Now, on the rare chance that you are a Blue Protocol player that lasted this long in the video, let me know in the comments what you see in the game. Tell me why you're going to be sticking around. Because again, this is just opinion. There is no right or wrong answer, and you probably just value different aspects of MMOs than I do. And that's perfectly fine. So yeah, that's it. Bye.